Hello. So I just wanted to preface, this is my presentation on brain cancer. I've never recorded this before. I don't really know what I'm doing. I hope it works out, but let's start. So my presentation is on brain cancer. The etiology, so what is it? It's the presence of malignant tumors in the brain. That's tumors that aren't benign. Um, there are 100 different types of brain tumors. They're differentiated by where they occur and what kind of cells they're made of. Some benign ones, like meningioma, it's the most common. They originate in the meninges. Um, and then neurofibroma, they grow in nerves. It's a symptom of the genetic disorder NF1, which I'll talk about later. Some malignant ones, like lymphoma, it forms in the lymphatic system and spreads to the brain. A glioma, it's formed by glial cells that surround and support neurons, and there's 3 types. I'll get into those later. And some AI information. There's predictive analytics that predicts the outcomes and side effects from patient data. It's new AI in the field that's doing all that. So it can be caused by genetic mutations like TP53. This is TP53 is a tumor suppression gene. So when there's a mutation for that, it affects apoptosis, which is programmed cell death. And so when the mutation affects that, there can be uncontrolled cell growth. Because it can't start apoptosis. And then there's IDH1 and IDH2 mutations. These are enzymes in the cellular metabolism. They produce NADPH. And essentially, the mutation will cause an abnormal metabolic state and the growth and survival of cancer cells under conditions that would normally be restrictive. So there are like some hereditary syndromes, neurofibromatosis type 1 and 2. They're genetic disorders that predispose individuals to nerve tissue tumors, including brain tumors. And then Li-Fraumeni syndrome, it's a hereditary condition caused by TP53 mutations. So that's a hereditary one caused by those. It's also, there's environmental risk factors like radiation, like being exposed to the ionizing radiation is a really big risk factor. And then some behavioral risk factors include like a really unhealthy lifestyle, being overweight or obese, could cause a type of brain tumor called a meningioma. Some demographics. Brain cancer incidence varies worldwide, with higher rates observed in developed countries. So the new cases in the United States of 2024, it's 25,400. And then the deaths in the United States in 2024, estimated, all this is estimated, is 18,760. So that's actually a survival rate of 33%. And then I wrote a lot down, but basically all you need to know is in more developed countries, you're going to have more cases, and the males always have more cases in brain cancer, and worldwide, new cases 347,992, and then deaths is 246,253. And that is, yes. Okay. So the actual anatomy of it, a glioma is formed by glial cells, which are over here. They support the neurons and like neurofunction and signaling and everything. Three types of, it's the most common brain cancer. And sometimes it's malignant, these gliomas, sometimes it's not. I'll get into what an astrocytoma is. Range from low grade, so grade 1 or 2, these are less malignant, to high grade, which is more malignant. A grade 4 astrocytoma is a glioblastoma, which is highly malignant. And then I have the oligodendroglioma. It can range from grade 1 to 3, with 3 being malignant. And then neurofibroma, benign tumor grows on nerves. There's the, yeah. Symptom of the genetic disorder NF1 or neurofibromatosis type 1 involves multiple cells. It can turn malignant. So this is more on the glioblastoma. It's the most common form of malignant brain cancer. It's also the deadliest and the most aggressive because it grows rapidly and infiltrates surrounding brain tissue. And when you do like surgeries, it's really hard to get all the spindlies, like the tentacle-like projections, to be removed. And it's also resistant to cancer treatments like chemotherapy and radiation. And then I just wanted to, these two pictures are basically just the difference between benign and malignant tumors. Essentially, benign aren't cancerous because they won't spread, but they're still there and they cause disruption. And then malignant are cancerous and they do spread. And that's what brain cancer is. It's the malignant. The physiology, or how brain cancer disrupts the physiology of the brain. Essentially, let me move this. The big thing is increased intracranial pressure, or ICP, due to the tumor growing. This can compress the surrounding brain tissue and disrupt neurological functions. So it's in the confined space of the skull, so it can become life-threatening. The compressed surrounding brain tissue disrupts normal neurological functions depending on the area afflicted. Malignant cells infiltrate healthy brain tissue, interfering with neurological and glial cell functions. And they block the flow of fluid around the brain, which also increases ICP. And this whole thing will, the neurotransmitters, it'll affect the brain signaling pathways. Oh, I also wrote for before symptoms, blockage of CSF flow. There's an alteration of blood-brain barrier. The blood-brain barrier, it moves substances between the blood and the brain. It's very important. Neurovascular compromise, so the tumors compress, invade blood vessels in the brain, reduces blood flow, and ischemia, which is lack of oxygen to the areas. So blood can't get there, oxygen can't get there, then those, it's not good. Also endocrine disruption. Some symptoms I have written down. It depends on the tumor size, location, and rate of growth. Some common symptoms, obviously headache, severe and persistent due to the increased intracranial pressure, seizures, usually caused by the compression, um, abnormal electrical activity in the brain, personality and cognitive changes, like depending where it is in the brain, like the different lobes that can be affected, memory loss, confusion, personality changes, um, motor dysfunction, weakness, paralysis in specific body parts, sensory deficit, loss of vision, hearing, or sensation, nausea and vomiting. You could get edema, which is swelling caused by the disrupted blood flow, and neurological disruption, like I've said before, from the tumor, alter neurotransmitter activity. For diagnosis, so you'd want to diagnose it through finding the medical history evaluation of the patient, physical examinations, and diagnostic tests. The neurological examination, it's a test to see if the tumor might be affecting the brain functions. So you're going to be testing vision, hearing, balance, coordination, strength, and reflexes. After that, you would do a biopsy. It's surgery to move a small bit of the tumor to see what it is, the type of tumor or a type of cancer. And then molecular testing, analyzing the tumor's genetic and molecular characteristics. And then imaging. Sorry, I have to see if it's recording. I think it is. Okay. Let's go back. And then imaging, MRI, CT, and PET scans. MRI is best for soft tissues. There's no ionizing radiation with this, so that's good. CT scans, they're excellent for detecting bone involvement and bleeding. This does use ionizing radiation, and then PET provides functional imaging based on metabolic activity. Useful for tumor grading, monitoring treatment, and detecting reoccurrence. Uses radioactive tracers. Treatment. I hope it's recording. Okay. Treatment, surgery, craniotomy. It's the portion of the skull is removed just quickly. They'll replace it. It's not like a craniectomy. They'll replace it after they remove it, to remove the tumor. After they remove the tumor. Then radiation therapy, external beam radiation. It targets intense beams at the tumor to kill cancer cells. Brachytherapy places radioactive material directly into or near the tumor to try to get rid of it. Chemotherapy, which is the drugs, damage the DNA of the cancer cells, but also healthy cells. Temozolomide is commonly used for glioblastomas. Targeted therapy, it's drugs, but it targets the cancer cells and not other cells. This isn't for every type of cancer, which is why, because it would make more sense to just target the cancer cells, but it's not always that simple. An example is bevacizumab or Avastin. It targets tumor's blood supply. And immunotherapy is another treatment. These drugs enhances the immune system's natural ability to detect and destroy abnormal cells. So it's focused more on boosting the immune response against cancer cells. And then prognosis and recurrence. The prognosis is the likely course and outcome. And it varies with different types of um, tumors and cancers and all that. It varies on the type, location, and grade of the tumor, as well as the patient's overall health. Reoccurrence, glioblastomas are most common malignant brain cancer, have a high reoccurrence rate, and complete cure is rare, and the disease is often considered chronic, requiring ongoing management and treatment. Um, and then I'll get into the 5-year relative survival rate, which is everything here. A relative survival rate compares people with the same type of tumor to people in the overall population. Um, so example, if the 5-year relative survival rate for a specific type of brain tumor is 70%, it means that people who have that tumor are on average about 70% as likely as people who don't have that tumor to live for at least 5 years after being diagnosed. So you could see with the glioblastoma, which is the most common malignant, it's the survival rate, um, pretty severe. And then those are my references, which I did put the book in here just to make sure. Okay. Thank you.